Today I'm going to be working on this grape. It was air layered 3, maybe 4 years ago. I had a rough start. Took it off the vine before the roots really fully developed. But it managed to struggle through its first year, and then second year it picked up, and now it's doing pretty well. It's looking a little bit sparse, and that is because, well, deer definitely have this on their menu. They love grape leaves. So instead of pruning back in early summer, I just decided to let it go, regain the energy that the deer took away from it. And I'll bring you in closer to show you why I left it so long and didn't cut it. I don't know if you can see this, but from here up, all the leaves are missing in the middle. And deer stripped all of those off. They don't actually take the oxen, they don't actually push the oxen back down. So you'll notice that it won't push these latent buds. Not really. Unless they ate your top leaves, your terminal bud. So my reasoning for it is, if I would have cut back after the deer did that, by then it would have been mid-late summer. And if I would have cut it back, those buds would have started growing. We were already approaching a point of where I didn't really want new growth going into fall, because I didn't know what kind of fall it was going to be. So I just let the plant recover. However, we are at that time where all the trees and all the plants, even the vines, are going to sleep, and now would be the time that I would prune. Typically, I'd want these leaves to be more yellow, falling off. But they're not as green as the shape as they once were. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to prune it back. Will it need wiring? Possibly. Grapes do throw up a lot of buds at their base of the shoot that they throw out. In fact, that's the way I prune my large grape that this came from, in order to get it to fruit. I'm not quite sure how to handle fruiting on a grape when it comes to that. When it comes to that point of pruning back to 2, maybe 3 buds, leaving just a little bit of growth from this year, and then that vine will push next year, and from that vine you'll get grapes. But those grapes are usually a lot farther along the vine than anything you would want for bonsai. I've seen pictures of it done. I know it can be done. And I also know that fruiting takes away from the strength of the tree, or in this case, the vine. But it'd be really cool to have a little bundle of grapes on a little bonsai tree. From this bud scar right here, and this would have been this year too. I did do some pruning at the very start of the year. So I can cut back here. I'll get 2 shoots, but this one here that's pointing towards the inner, I might rub that bud off. Again here, got a bud. On the back side there's a bud. There's also a bud right here on the back side, so that's 3. This is actually dead, and actually so you're gonna have areas like this that are gonna be choked out with all kinds of things, and I'll point out what's actually going on here. So you have a dead flag from a previous pruning. You got a bud here, you got a bud here, you got a bud here, and actually you got a bud over here on the back side. So you have 4 buds in this little area. One, remember I said back here you can't see. And you don't want all those to make up their own mind about what they're doing, because they're all going to collide with each other and it's going to be a mess. And since I'm actually doing this whole thing, I might as well get rid of this and show you It's actually more there than you think. If I look, and I know you can't see this, but this little shoot here in the back, this also has a bud back here. So I either have to choose the new buds, or I have to favor the shoot itself. And that all just depends on angle and what I like. The thing with vines that I'm not particularly fond of is you see these places where they grow from, or the nodes. There's another one up above, but they're a little bit bulbous. They have these juncture points. Grapes don't really callus over that fast. That's kind of the downfall. And I'll show you a cut that I did quite a while ago that hasn't calloused over fast, and really makes me not want to do it, and just keep up on the pruning and bud selection as I go. I'll show you that next. So this cut was made at least 2 years ago. Now you can see it trying to callus. It's trying to roll over that, and I could perhaps cut into that a little more. There's not really much there of the callus to scar up. Grapevines have a fairly hard wood, but they also have this pithy core. So there may be a potential for rot, but only down to the next juncture. Grapes have they do have an ability to compartmentalize at the next node fairly well, but what they'll do when they have to do that is they'll just terminalize that whole shoot, which is why you'll see a lot of dead shoots and things that I'll be pruning off, a lot of flags, and I'll show you some detail of that pithy core here in a little bit. When I prune back grapes, I tend to always leave a flag, or leave it proud, because of this. I want to give the grape a chance to die back to the next juncture. I kind of went over my thought process on the buds, and I kind of showed you the close-up of the buds, and I'm just going to go through now and prune. I will probably be only using my bigger shears on my smaller ones. So I'll just use the big shears to hack away this extremely long growth, just to get it out of the way. I don't need to think about this because it's way away from where I'll actually be pruning it. And I approach this the same way as I would approach any of my trees, with a few differences. So right now, all the leaves are pretty much falling off. I'll actually be taking off this quite a bit further. So first of all, I want to assess one branch at a time, right? So I'm going to go ahead and assess this branch, and it looks like I got 2 buds down here, bud, and then it alternates. So opposite, then alternates. Actually, these are not opposite, but the spacing of the bud is so close that it seems to be opposite. And that's actually where I'm going to prune to. I'm not going to be using cut paste on especially this new growth because of the hollowness of the grape, the hollowness of the wood inside, vine or old wood. It's pithy and hollow. And I suspect that grapes are high water movers. Couple that with that hollow, and then you put cut paste on top of that. It just doesn't seem very intuitive to do that. So I'm just gonna cut there. So these two will come. So I'm leaving a large flag for dieback. I suspect it'll die right back to here, right where those buds are. This is just a little bit of a flag from last year, just garbage. I already came through here and did some bud selection. Not on the whole tree, but or vine rather. So I have to assess, do I want this one? First of all, it's a weak shoot, and it's still green all the way back here. It still hasn't even, you know, gotten any age. So for aesthetic's sake, I think I will just cut it to there. I want it down. I want it to branch out from here, but I might wait till next year to do that. All right, so I'm gonna assess this one right here. What I don't like about this one is this really straight piece right here. See that? Then it's very knobby because of, you know, pruning, and it kind of clashes with what I'm doing, but it does give some volume. So I cut this part out, but I was going to cut this off, but I think we're gonna keep it. So I'm gonna look for buds. I see one there, one there, one there. So there's two down here. There's one right here, some right here. I think I want to go see if I have one on the other side. Well, I thought I had a bud on the other side, but I think that bud is actually destroyed. So this bud is pointing out front. This bud is coming out from underneath. This one's coming out front. It's in the way of that one. Let's see if we got anything right here. And we do. So we have opposite right there. So I don't really like the straightness of the branch, but I know that this will fill out a desired area in the silhouette, so I'm going to keep it. So like I said, I always go through a checklist in my mind. Is it strong or weak? Has it reached the desired thickness? And like this one back here hasn't, right? So I left it a little bit longer. It'll grow, it'll get thicker. So I left it longer. So after that, does it fit a place in the silhouette? Does it fit a place that I want it to branch out, leaf out? This is more for the silhouette than for where I actually want to branch. But now we come to this back side. We got this branch right here. It's got a nice shape. And let's see what we got for buds. Yeah, we have two buds down there, alternating, but close enough to look almost opposite. So we're going to cut to there. Actually, leave a flag. Same questions. Is it strong or weak? And according to, right, proportion, it's pretty strong. This was a very long shoot. So that one's done. So we got a bud coming out here. We got a bud underneath here. And this bud on this one coming down below, it points way too far down. So just scratch those out. Make sure it can't grow. So we got that bud, that's a really nice angle. And then we got this, and we got that shooting up. Bud back there, possibly a bud right there. I would probably want this, but I'm not going to give up my options, so I'm going to leave those. This one can potentially come up and go to the right. This one go left. This one eventually, this little guy is eventually going to be cut back here, and that's going to go underneath that. So that's my thought process on that. We're going to come around to this next branch. This is a little bit of a problem area. That's a little bit older and it's kind of nice. This is a little bit too close, but it does fit this. So this is going to be the front. So, you know, I kind of want something to come off of here and branch, but I'm not going to wire. I'm not going to wire. Vines grow so fast. They give you so many buds at the base, so many buds along the vine, that I'm actually going to cut that and let that bud develop here and come out that way. Or potentially here. If I peel the bark, I might be able to see it. But I'm pretty confident just having that bud will be fine. So I got to approach this one back here, which is going into the tree. So I'm probably going to be looking at this guy as my option. Unless we have buds that are shooting this way. Let's see if I can see that. So we got a bud coming down that way. Got a bud going up that way. It's not really giving me anything in this juncture here. But we have this lovely little shape right here. Can you see that? It goes there, there, and then there. There and there is not too pretty, but then it goes there. That's kind of nice. This is fairly weak. And this grapevine was picked on by deers, so there's actually no buds here, just buds at the base. So I'm not pruning that because I'm going through my checklist. That's just actually a little dead piece or starting to die. This right here, unless there's a bud that's going here, not here, then I will keep it. So, and I actually don't see anything, so I'm actually removing that whole branch. Not because it wasn't strong, and not because it wasn't desired thickness, because it had both of those things, only because it wasn't going where I wanted it. And I had thought that I wouldn't need any other tools, but I think I will. I want to be careful with these. I don't want to go too far back. I don't want that to decide to dive back to this bottom bud here. I want that. So I'm not going to clean up that dead wood stuff from previous prunings. So coming right along to the top. So I'm going to see what kind of buds I have. You may be able to see that. That is actually a bud, but I'm looking for a little more options than that. The frustrating thing is sometimes you won't be able to pick this up, but there's actually was a bud here, but it got popped off. There might be a bud right here. And I can't find a bud right there. It would be nice if it branched out from there, and of course that bud. So this one I'm not going to touch. So this part is all dead up here, but I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to go back to green live living tissue, because we're at the point right now where this isn't going to be able to do much about that wound. So we'll leave that little bit. So the next area is up here, and got a little bit of a dead little flag here, little dead stump. So there's a bud right here. That would be nice to branch out. We have bud here, a bud over here. They look opposite, but again, that's just because they're actually alternating, but they're a little bit staggered. The first buds they leave behind is not much energy, and as the vine progresses, it gets more energy. The alternating buds get spaced out, so leaving as much flag as possible. Taking that back. So that will come out forward, and hopefully this will come out here. This one that's on the right, that's going to go that way, It's probably not going to be kept in the future, but I'm going to leave it alone for now. So moving across, we can afford buds to come out here. Maybe, right? Because you got branch, 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 branch. That wouldn't work, right? Because it just make it too bulbous here. And even having this branch and these two, this one branch out, that's three in a place. That's kind of pushing it. But I do need things to be filled in here, but maybe I can rely on this branch on the side to throw things over there. So I am actually going to get rid of that. I'm going to trust on that bud on the left, and I'm going to rub that one out. Also got a bud here. I'm going to rub it out, right? Because that will just go and interfere with what I want to do over here. So if you have a branch that you really don't need, you don't need to go through a checklist. You don't need to say weak or strong, desired thickness. Just get rid of it. The checklist is there just to set you on the right path. So you got this jumbled mess. And I'm pretty sure there's probably buds in there, but actually I can't really see them, but just in case, I'm going to rub those out. That little guy just wanted to pop off anyways, so. All right, so let's see what we got here. 1 into 2, that's good. Good branch movement. Bud right here, don't want that. Okay, so first thing we're gonna do is let's just get rid of that stuff we know we don't want. So this actually has, let's see if you can see that. This actually has alternating buds, and you can actually see them sticking out here and here. So leaving a flag. Yeah. So leaving a flag, I think that would be right. This is a little dead piece. Actually, that just popped right off. That was kind of nice. So I could have another branch coming off of here. This one is actually pointed at you and just on the other side of you. It's kind of nice. It's actually, this is just for aesthetic's sake. It doesn't need to be cut again. The buds are right down here. So moving to the last branch, I believe. You got what looks like 2 buds right here shooting out here. And ideally, if we got 2 coming out this way, that's kind of in the way. I kind of want something down here, down low. Got a bud right there. That's a nice place. That does present a problem. So, too much right here, right? But I can cut this back and go with this bud that goes away and maybe come back up later. Or I can let those go. Definitely not going to let this bud shoot straight up. See that one right there? I'm not going to let this shoot straight up. So what do I do? Well, this one's underneath. That would make 3. I don't want 3. Oh, that's tricky. They all kind of want to go in a place I want them to go, but if I'm being honest, these 2 will fill out this area. This will come out the way I'm pointing. This one will come out. So I actually don't need it. I don't need it right here. That's a little bud that I'm popping off. Probably just a little bit of damage to the bud would be enough, but you never know. I just take them off. So that leaves me with that one coming out that way. I don't want that. I don't want that. So leaving a decent size flag. Take that off. Got this little dead piece, not cutting back to the green. So yeah, I don't want that bud. I just want this little guy on the side. All right, so I'm gonna try to. I really should just leave it alone, but so you can see the division a little more of the branching. Okay. So this this was originally going to be the front, but I've decided against it. I think I much rather like this as the front. Actually, let's see. Well, that's kind of nice too. Shows the root here. I mean, that really should be the front, but let's see that again. I just kind of like the way the branches are displayed a little bit better. Losing one important thing there though, and that is the root base, which because it's on a lean is underneath all that moss right there. So I don't know. You know, it might just end up like that. That being the front. So, but that's how I go through and I prune any of the trees really. I mean, small differences, like I won't cut paste this one unless it's on really old dead wood. I know you see a lot of this flaking bark, and yes, bugs can hide under there, and yes, this moss is going to rot some of this stuff. But the thing with grapes is, if I peeled all this back, this would all look, you know, baby smooth. So I don't want that. It actually gives it a little bit of character, and I think with time, if it bulks up, some of that bark will get thicker and a little more resilient to bumps or scrapes. I mean, you can literally just, you know, scrape and pop those off. Let's see. But so this was done from an air layer, and it's about 3 years that it's been trained in actually this pot. It has not been trained in any other pot. Every year it's pretty much had its root work done, because the roots on grapes are pretty large, pretty fleshy, and yeah, they grow quick. The first year I took this out of an air layer, I cut the air layer a little prematurely. The roots were barely forming, you know, barely extending. There's a lot of swell from the cambium, from the cut site. So a lot of swell and just, you know, a couple of little almost roots. They were definitely roots, and it was getting to the cold part of the season, so I just chopped it off, put it in soil, hoped for the best. And that first year coming out of air layer was a struggle for this guy. They put out very small leaves and almost, you know, very, very little branching. Second year was much better, and this year was really good, besides the deer, because these might as well be premium lettuce for a deer. They love this. That is my Grapevine Bonsai, and this variety is called Flame Bunch. It's very nice, seedless grapes, and they're a rosy champagne-like color. but they're actually a table grape. This is not a fancy wine grape or anything like that. So it does make good wine. So the ideal plan for this grape, beyond the obvious, get a better pot, which I don't really think it's screaming for a good quality pot just yet. But the obvious thing is I want this to produce grapes. Now, I pruned it back more or less to the base buds and only left 2 in most areas, and generally that's how I approach my larger grapevine. But I let those grow out and they fruit on those long vines, so I actually don't know how to do that bit yet. If I let this grow out next year from those bud sites, I'm pretty sure this would produce grapes, but I'll be coming in and pruning back pretty hard. So, and that will be, I don't know, late spring, early summer. And then I'll keep it in check. I'll probably pinch it just a little bit after that because they're very fast. And then after late summer, I'll just let it go. If I'm happy with it, I'll keep pinching it. I actually don't know how ramified a grape can get. So, I mean, you see everything here is fairly coarse. You have got your primary trunk. I would still call this a primary trunk. And then you got your secondary coming off and then splitting into 2. I mean, it's only just beginning. You have some up here that haven't even split off yet. I'm still finding the direction, the movement. And I don't believe I ever wired this grape in 3 years. I just do pruning on this. Just looking for the buds, pruning to the direction the buds are pointing. But
Watch.